Hello there. Today I'm going to walk through the process of a Form 1 in order to make a short barrel rifle. So here I have mine that I did about a year ago. It's a 12.5-inch barrel with a collapsible and adjustable stock. So let's get into it. Okay, so just like my previous video about the Form 1 suppressor, you're going to want to, of course, have a eForms.atf.gov account, and here's the home page. And I already started this. So I'm going to find my draft here. So once you click Form 1, this is the page. It's just going to be an overview. On the application portion, you're just going to say this application is made by an individual or a trustee or on behalf of a corporation. If you're just an individual doing it on behalf of yourself, just click individual and click next. The next portion will be the applicant portion, and that will be all your information. So if you already have an account, most of this information will automatically populate. You'll just want to run through and verify everything is correct. And then if you scroll on down, the questions portion will be like any standard firearm purchase. So you'll want to go through and answer these questions. And after you do that, you will click next, and it will be onto the responsible persons portion of the application. So in this portion, you'll want to fill out this section if it's not filled out already. And what this is going to be is your information as the maker. And this will also be the portion where you upload your photo and your electronic fingerprint file. I went over that in my last video, but I'll briefly touch on it again. For this, you'll need a passport style photo, which is just a clean background around the shoulder height up, just showing who you are very clearly. And you will also need an electronic fingerprint file. You can get that through different places like printscan.com. In the case when I did it, you find a location close to you, you go in there, basically schedule an appointment, and it was all self-serve. So you log in to the machine, and then it walks you through the process of doing the fingerprints. And then after you're done, it will email you later on, most likely the same day. And I believe the cost for that was around $50 at the time I did it. It might be a little more now. So in this section is where you're going to want to upload that passport style photo and also attach that .eft file that contains your fingerprints. You can also do paper fingerprint cards like at your local police station or sheriff's office. That will add some time to the application because you have to physically mail them in. So I would recommend just doing this. It's very easy. The process took about 20 minutes to get your fingerprints done, and then you have them from here on out. So anytime you do this, you just save that file and you upload it. So on this screen, you'll want to put those two things in here and also verify all the details about you, your address, your age, and all that good stuff. So after you do that, we can move on to the CLEO tab, which is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer portion. And here you'll want to put in your local head of police department or sheriff's department or whatever is in your jurisdiction, the head of that. And what I like to do, I go to their website and I copy the name, title, and all that, and I just paste it in. That way there's much less chance of getting an error trying to spell something out. So you will put in their name, their title, their address, where they're located, and then click next. And this is the portion where it differentiates from making a suppressor versus making an SBR. So it's the same principle as the suppressor. You're going to add a firearm because that's what you're making essentially. But here we are not going to enter FMI. FMI is only for if you're making a suppressor. Instead, we are going to do the below option. So on your rifle or your pistol that you're wanting to convert into an SBR, you're going to want to find the manufacturer's name if you don't already know it. Or even if you've pieced the gun together, it will most likely, if it's an AR platform, it's going to be on the lower. So this one in particular is made by HM Defense. They're here in Ohio. So I'm going to pretend like I'm doing this one again. So we're going to go on here and type in HM Defense, and right there it automatically popped up because they're registered with them as Luxus Arms LLC, DBA, doing business as HM Defense. So we're going to click that and we're just going to hit verify, and it's successfully verified. We're going to click United States, and then from here we can go on to adding the specifics for your particular rifle or pistol that you're turning into the SBR. So in my case, when I bought this, it was legally a pistol because it was a 12.5-inch barrel, and at the time it had a braced stock. So for my particular SBR, I'm going to click short barreled rifle because that's what I'm trying to make. I'm not making a silencer in this case, and I'm definitely not making a machine gun. By the way, you can't make a machine gun unless you have very specific licenses, so don't try it. For the model, it will actually be the model that is registered through them. So this one in particular, mine is a 15F on the receiver. It depends on the gun you have. Say you have a Daniel Defense or something. They're going to have a list of models as well for each manufacturer. For the caliber, mine happens to be a 5.56. The length of barrel on here is going to be the finished product barrel length. So say you have a full-length 18-inch rifle, but you're going to put a 10-inch barrel on it. In that case, you would put 10 inches. So the length of barrel here is whatever barrel length is going to be on the finished SBR, not as is if you are going to make it smaller. So for example, I'm going to put 10. Now the overall length, this needs to be a very close estimate of what this is going to be. And how to measure that, how I did that, I took my pistol at the time. I don't believe I measured the flash hider because it's technically not part of the barrel, it's an accessory. As far as I'm aware, you can buy your stock that you're wanting to eventually put on the gun. You could lay it down, put that by the side of it, and then just use a tape measure and measure that overall length. But legally, you cannot assemble it until you have the approval of this form. It's the same process whether you're just swapping a barrel or putting on a actual stock. Either way, you can own the parts, you just can't assemble them until you have the approved form. Pretend this is an 18-inch barrel. You could have your 10-inch barrel beside it. You could have your stock, whichever the case is, laid beside it where it would be attached, and then you can measure that overall length. So once you have your overall length, I have not measured this right now. I'm just going to guesstimate and say 30 inches. This is just for example. Then you will move on and put in your actual serial number. Now I'm not going to type that in on mine, but it will be stamped or engraved on your lower receiver. So you have that in here, and now is the description. Similar to the suppressor description, it's just a brief overview of what you plan to do. If it's not already obvious, because you've selected short-barreled rifle, you need to put something like, once approved, I plan to purchase and assemble these parts if you haven't already bought them, or whatever the case is. If you already have the parts, once approved, I plan to assemble these parts into an SBR or what have you. Whatever makes the most sense in your case. And then again, state why you intend to make this firearm. The most common entry for this would be something along the lines of "for all legal purposes." After you click next, this portion also differentiates from a suppressor, being that you do not need to upload a photo of a 3D printer or CNC machine or anything like that. That is for manufacturing the suppressor itself, whereas this, they just want verification of the engravings on the lower receiver itself. So you would take a photo of the side that has the model and serial number listed. If for some reason they happen to be one side on one and one side on the other, I would recommend just uploading multiple photos just so you don't run into any issues. And basically that's going to verify that the information you put in matches the lower receiver that you actually own. So once you have those photos, you can upload them here. You'll want to put in a brief description saying photo of the serial number, photo of the model number, whatever the case is. After that, you want to push add document. Otherwise, you will have done this and it will not actually attach it to the application. And from here, you can quickly verify that everything is correct. And after that, you will click next and move on to the electronic documents portion. Now, this is the portion that if you were making a suppressor, you would upload the tools or equipment that you're using to produce it. But in this case, I don't believe we need to put anything in here because you're not manufacturing it, you're just assembling this. After that, we'll move to the verify portion. And this is where all of your personal information is going to be, and all your answers to the questions from earlier, as well as the chief law enforcement officer and firearm specifics. So take a couple minutes, walk through all this and make sure everything is correct. Because if anything is not correct, or you missed something, or potentially even misspelled something maybe, it could get kicked back and rejected. So the first time that I went on here to do one for a suppressor, I forgot to fill in one line and I got rejected. It will in most cases tell you on your rejected email that you will get what the problem is and what you need to go back and look at. So take a minute, it'll save you some time later on. And then you will be at the certify page. Now mine has a bunch of errors because obviously this is just an example. So I did not fill out all the information I should have, so it's yelling at me. If you filled out everything like you're supposed to do, you will not have this error page. Instead, it will just show certify. And you click this box, and that just means, yes, everything is correct to the best of my knowledge. And once you do that, you sign and submit. That is the last step. Now, once you sign and submit, you will get a verification email saying that they received the application. You will then later on, once they actually get around to looking at it and checking it out, you will get a second email, and that will be the one to watch out for, saying that you are either rejected or approved. If you're rejected, you obviously need to go back into the application, make sure you have all your details spelled out correctly and that nothing's missing, and then you can try to resubmit that. If it comes back and it's approved, then you can go ahead and assemble your parts, but as long as they're not assembled beforehand, because if they're assembled beforehand, that's no bueno. Once you submit the application and you get that submitted form back, you will also get a PDF in there, and you'll want to print that out, and it'll be marked on several of the pages that it's the chief law enforcement, that CLEO copy. You'll want to mail that. Some places do accept email. My local place does not, so I have to physically mail it. But either way, you'll want to take those pages that are marked CLEO and physically mail those to that law enforcement officer, notifying them that you are intending to make this. And you have to do that as of now, whether or not it's approved or rejected. After you submit it is when you do that part, and that also applies to making a suppressor. If you are approved, it will give you instructions, and what you have to do is get that information, your information. Most likely it'll be your full name, your city, and your state that you have to get engraved on the receiver itself. So in my case, I actually got it laser engraved on the angled inside portion of the magwell. A lot of people will have theirs engraved inside the trigger well or something like that. If you wanted to, you can always put it right on the side of the receiver. It's personal preference, as long as in the event someone had to verify that your information's on there, that it's actually on there. You can have it obvious or a little more hidden in order to kind of help the aesthetic of your gun, if you don't want it to stick out like a sore thumb, or for people at the range to see your info on it. So it's just a personal preference, and that can be laser engraved, it can be etched, it can be machined into it, whatever you have access to or whoever you want to hire to do it. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.